Campus-sponsored reunion of the Cal in the Capital program. I'd like to especially point out the founder of the program, J. Michael McGinnis, as well as the first student director, Art Chartsis, who are both here this evening. If you raise your hand, please. I'd also like to extend a special welcome to our alumni and donors whose commitment to and support of the program has made Cal in the Capital a continued success year after year. Actually, how many of you in the room are currently students who are just returned from Washington this summer? All right. And it's got to be an amazing time to be in Washington, D.C., and no doubt you will have stories to tell your children and grandchildren after this election. And you're, as an eyewitness to some of the most incredible political maneuvering that I've seen probably in decades here. So I think this is actually fascinating. I wasn't certain if that was actually Sarah Palin or Tina Fey there, so I was just kind of hold judgment until Saturday Night Live and then see who shows up, and then I kind of figured that out. I'd also like to recognize our outstanding new student directors who are in the midst of selecting and planning for next year. And if they could just stand when I call their name, Claire Johnson. Vivian Municipelli. And Jamie Hyman. Thank you, ladies. Believe it or not, I actually have some direct history myself for the Cal in the Capital program. I actually served on the selection committee that chose the first center director, Larry Berman, several years ago. And we affectionately called it UCDC, I think was what we called it. I don't know if you guys still call it that or not, but that was kind of the name we had given it. And then I actually was involved in the construction of the housing that was built back there several years ago as part of the team that worked with the architects and the contractors back there. And finally, I actually served on the inaugural steering committee for the center when it actually got created back there in Washington, D.C. So although I wasn't an actual student participant, I spent quite a bit of time at the Cal in the Capital, the new Washington Center, over the last 10 years or so. Actually, to date, over 2,100 students have participated in the program, and this year's cohort contributed over 30,000 hours of service for their respective placements, which includes the White House, both Chambers of Commerce, and the Smithsonian, among many others. But this is you didn't really come here to hear me talk, and this is enough of my opening remarks. And so what I'd like to do is introduce my boss, who happens to be the best chancellor in America. My boss, who happens to be the best chancellor in America. Bob Birgeneau.
Thank you, Harry, who is unambiguously the best Vice Chancellor for Student Affairs in America. And my wife, Mary Catherine, who's undoubtedly the best wife in America. We can just run through the entire audience. And anyway, it's just great to see all of you here. When we were coming in, you may have noticed also that this was broadcasted downstairs as well with a bunch of Berkeley undergraduates, which is not exactly the most receptive audience for the McCain. I felt like defending her, but I'm not even going to. I'm supposed to be neutral. And anyway, it's just, it's just, I think, incredible timing to have this debate, which is actually, of course, very important for the country, occurring simultaneously with this event, because manifestly all of you are here because of your commitment to public service, and most especially commitment to service in Washington, and which is obviously independent of where you are on the political spectrum, is of fundamental importance to this country. Cal students as a whole are remarkable for their continuing commitment to public service. So, for example, the Cal in the Capital is overseen by the Cal Corps Public Service Center, and during this last week, Megan is over there. And the CalCorp Public Service Center engages altogether 4,700 students just this past year. So I mean, you know, just think of how powerful that force is in terms of public service. And for those of you who were here 20 years ago or more and think that, you know, idealism has died among young people, actually it couldn't be more different. We have students who are, you know, carrying out all kinds of important social tasks while they simultaneously have to compete academically in one of the most difficult and challenging academic environments in the country. So it's really extraordinary. Each of Harry LeGrand and Christina Naslak, who I don't see here, and I have been, you know, working hard in the last while planning to see how we can enhance public service endeavors by our undergraduates and graduate students here at Berkeley. So we want to ensure always that we provide an undergraduate experience that combines a commitment to service with excellence in the classroom. Of course, the Cal in the Capital program is particularly important to us because it enables people in Washington to see that Cal is much more than non-Berkeley students in the trees. On the contrary, that Berkeley is a place with astoundingly talented students with a really, you know, deep commitment to serving mankind. So it gives a very, really puts the very best face of the campus forward in Washington, which we're pleased about. Many of you may know that we've just launched, quote unquote, the campaign for Berkeley. That was just a week ago, with the astonishing goal of $3 billion. And we actually just launched the public phase of that campaign. $3 billion may seem like an unrealistic amount of money. Frankly, it wasn't picked out of the hat. It was chosen as a result of very careful study and looking at what we see as our needs going forward for the campus if we're going to continue to be a preeminent public teaching and research university. So it's a real number, and we need to raise that amount. We're actually optimistic because in the so-called silent phase, which has been going on for a little over 3 years, we've actually raised $1.3 billion. And so we're very proud of that. Actually, what we're really proud of is our alumni and friends who have donated the $1.3 billion because they have understood the importance of Berkeley in the panorama of American universities, and the fact that if we're going to continue to be preeminent, whether we like it or not, and I wanted to convince you after the last week that to assume that the state will provide the resources that will enable us to offer the kind of education that we must in the indefinite future, that's not going to happen. And so for people who think it's extremely unlikely, unless Bob Reich or someone else here, Mike, is going to give us a new strategy. And so if we're going to maintain Berkeley's preeminence, we rely on people who went here when fees were $150 a semester to give back to this current generation of students to ensure that they can have the same life experience that they had during their time period. The campaign, you might be interested to know, is about people, most especially about students. And so among our campaign goals, there are two that are critical for Cal in the Capital. First of all, we have a goal of raising $300 million for need-based financial aid. And so that's to ensure that Berkeley remains accessible to the neediest of the students from the state of California, and to show that we're continuing to succeed. Currently on the Berkeley campus, we have 4,000 students whose family income is under $20,000 a year. I mean, that's an extraordinary number. The equivalent number at an elite private university in the East, the sort I used to work at, would be in the hundreds. And so Berkeley continues to be a campus that serves the whole population of California, and most importantly, continues to represent a conduit into mainstream society of people from extraordinarily disadvantaged backgrounds. And that's a value that we must never lose. But if we're going to maintain it, for all of the economic modeling that we've done, it will require our alumni friends, foundations, et cetera, to step up to make sure that we